Hello lovely people, it's Nicola back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. I have had a wonderful Sunday so far. It's been a classic Sunday. Get up when I felt like it, get dressed mid-morning, go for a walk, have some lunch, and then get down in my sewing room because I wanted to just play with fabric. See, it sounds ideal to me, right? So, I'm going to tell you what I'm up to. There isn't going to be a huge amount of sewing machine play this week because I am off to an Airbnb with Mr. Stitches for 3 nights. So I'm trying to get my sewing fix in today, and when I am away I will be doing hand stitching or maybe some knitting or crochet. I'm not sure which yet because I haven't planned which projects I'm going to take with me. We'll see. But first I want to show you what I made the other day. If you watched the video that just went up yesterday, I mentioned a weird little creature that I had made out of scraps. So I want to show you that. I'm trying to remember what the name of the Instagram channel was. I think it was Oddkin Studio, maybe Oddkin_studio. I'll look it up. And this person makes a whole ton of weird characters out of lots of scraps. So this was my little weird character out of lots of scraps. I started out with a piece of random plain fabric, 2 squares of it actually, and I laid scraps. I decided to go for a green theme because I had this green plaid I wanted to use. So a whole bunch of scraps, used sewing thread to sew them down with a running stitch, put this plaid oval on it and sewed that down with some embroidery floss. I think my plan was to do more embroidery floss stuff on the body, but I never did. I guess I forgot that part. So when I sewed the squares together, I incorporated some scrap yarn and a couple of flat pieces for arms and a couple of flat pieces for legs out of the plaid, and I stuffed it with more scraps. One of my friends, well, both of my friends were making something similar to this on the day, and when one of them went to toss away her scraps, I said, "Don't throw those away, I will use them to stuff my little character." So that's what I did. I don't know if you noticed there's like a little tooth right there that I embroidered on. So I kind of like that. It's ugly cute, maybe is the expression for that. As for today, when I first came down, I made 3 more of the towel head wraps. I absolutely love using mine. So it's such a simple thing. It's from a website called Hello Sewing, and I ended up making myself a template out of out of 2 cereal boxes because it's quite a big piece. It's 27 inches long and 11 inches high, so I needed 2 cereal boxes taped together, and I drew out the shape on here because I was going to make 3 more, and I just figured it would be easier than chalking the size on the fabric for each one. And yes, it did certainly speed things up. I just put it on the fabric. Oh, there goes one of my pattern pieces. Just made a draft and off it went onto the floor. So what was I saying? Yeah, I drew it on here, cut it out, put that on the fabric and cut those out, and then just sewed all 3 really quickly. So I made another pink one. This toweling is lovely. It's quite thick and smooshy compared to the white. So I made a pink one with pink button. And then I made 2 white ones. This white toweling that I also had in my stash is quite a bit thinner, so it won't be quite as absorbent probably, but they've just got boring white buttons on there, which funnily enough I just retrieved from something that I threw away. I had knitted my son a French press cozy years and years ago, like over 10 years ago. And I just recently found it in the cupboard and I thought, this is never going to get used. So I took the buttons off it. So the buttons have already been reused on here. So 2 white ones. And I thought what I would do is my 2 craftiest friends who were here on Thursday will get first dibs on these head wraps. So they can decide whether they want a white or a pink. Obviously, if the first person I offer it to chooses the pink, the other one will get the white. It's how the cookie crumbles. So this fabric, okay, I'm going to try and hold this up without ruining my lovely, neat and tidy arrangement. This fabric here, you can probably see, this is the back of it, but yeah, it's quite interesting. I'm not sure what the fibre content is. It could be rayon. It's definitely got a very, very drapey, silky feel to it. At first, I thought I had a small amount of a very wide fabric, but then I realised that the selvages weren't where I thought. And so it turns out I had over 2.5 meters of the fabric, which had a vertical pattern, not a horizontal pattern. And it's a good thing that it actually doesn't matter which way round it goes, because I pulled this pattern out of my stash of patterns. And it's Burda 6586, Burda Young. Oh, I'm still young, right? I'm totally still young. It's just a really basic skirt. It has 3 views, which is just 3 lengths. I mean, the only difference is the length. A separate waistband that you sew on and then put elastic through, and it has pockets. That's not so bad, is it? Pockets. So I decided I would make the size 18 in the Burda, which will give me plenty of room. And I did not want to go with the full length of that longest one. It finishes at something like 38.5 inches, which would be touching the floor on me. So what I have done with the pattern pieces, I'm just going to go grab that one off the floor. So even though I know they say you're supposed to lengthen or shorten at the line on the pattern, well, that's all the way up by the waist. And then if I start pleating it there, I'm going to get a really weird thing happening. So all I've done, sort of really basic thing, I have measured up. No, I didn't measure up from the bottom. I measured from the top down to this line, which is 35 inches here. So I'm going to fold this back. When I'm cutting, I'll fold this out of the way and I'll cut it 3 inches shorter, maybe 3.5 inches shorter. Because I'm only 5'4", and I know a lot of these patterns, they assume at least a 5'6" woman. So yes, there are 6 sections to the skirt. You've got this one, which is the centre back and the centre front panel, which you cut on the fold. So you obviously have to cut 2 of those on the fold. And then there's this much wider piece, which is a side panel, and you cut 4 of those. And then there's a pocket piece. You cut 4 of those, obviously. And a waistband. And you have to cut 2 of those. So that's it, 4 pattern pieces. Some very, very simple straight seaming to get the skirt body together. The side seams, obviously, you're insetting the hidden pockets, which should not be difficult. And then you just attach the waistband and put the elastic in and hem it at the bottom. So I don't know if I'm going to get this done today. Probably not. Having spent all week making that McCall's shirt, I feel like anything else now is going to feel fast. So I'm going to cut this out and take my time with it. And if I don't finish it today, I may have to end up finishing it at the end of the week because I'm not going to be near my sewing machine for 4 days. Obviously, I'll show it to you when it's done. So I just wanted to add, I wasn't going to do any more filming on this afternoon, but I just wanted to add, I changed my mind about which size to cut because the differences in between the different sizes are tiny. So if I was to make the second to largest size as opposed to the largest size, there's literally like 1/8 of an inch difference here. So to make my life easier, I'm just going to cut along the outside line. And it'll make the skirt a little bit bigger, but that doesn't matter because it's a gathered style and more floatiness is not a bad thing. Just have to remember when I get to this bottom hem here to do it shorter. I had to pull this away from the wall a bit, otherwise I wasn't going to be able to get my hand around here to cut this out. Normally what I do is, if I'm not making the biggest size, I would fold the pattern paper back along the line and then cut so that I can then later maybe make different sizes. But these are such simple pattern pieces that I can just cut along the outside line without worrying about messing things up. Right, I need to just fold this up over that 35-inch line that I marked before. And there's my first piece. There aren't even any notches on here. It's so simple. Yep, I think that'll be fine. Once this is on the waistband and I've hemmed the bottom, it'll be a nice maxi length on me, but not so long that I'll trip up on it. So all my pieces are cut. They're on the chair here. I've got the 6 pieces for the skirt, 2 pockets, and the 2 waistband pieces. And I still have all of this fabric left. It's 36 inches or 0.9 of a meter. So I reckon I can get another top out of it. I was wondering what I was going to wear this skirt with because I don't really have a top that would go with it necessarily. But if I can make, say, this, which is just a sleeveless top, it's a bit longer in the length, which is nice because it'll tuck into the skirt, then I've got something that will look like a dress. This only takes 0.8 of a meter, so that's perfect. So I'm going to fold that up and put that aside until I have made the skirt. I think this fabric might be a little slippery to sew, but I shall have to let it know who's boss. So that will be for after the skirt's made. Well, I got both machines out today. I got to use my sewing machine and my serger. I'm still a little bit scared of that serger. It was great for doing the long straight seams. Hang on, I just found something that needs snipping off. Yeah, great for doing the long straight seams where I had sewn the panels, the 3 panels of the front together, 3 panels of the back together. But where I had the pocket inside, I don't know why I'm showing you this because it's pretty bad in places. where I sewed these pockets in, obviously there was a lot of messing around, and yeah, I made the mistake of trying to serge the teeny bit of seam before the pocket, and I thought I would do the top bit and then the bottom bit and then zigzag the pocket bag, but I realized that the blade caught the top of my pocket there, didn't I? So when I found that out, I had to just sew across it as much as possible. It's right inside the pocket at the top, so no one will ever see it. And my top stitching on my two pocket openings, if you look at them side by side, they are not great. One side looks really good, and the other side is too narrow, and you can see a tiny bit of the pocket lining from the front. I think because this fabric is so busy and because no one is going to be looking that closely at the finished result, that I can live with it. But I do like the finish that the serging gives on the raw seams. So I sewed the seams with the machine, the sewing machine, and then I just neatened with the serger. And I didn't realize, but the waistband is actually the exact size of the top of the sewn skirt pieces. So there was no gathering. Oh, I'm so happy. The amount of times I've made a gathered skirt and you have to do the 2 lines of gathering and pull it up to fit. Oh, what a load of faffing about. But none of that today. So you just sew it to the top and then put the elastic in. It says something about sewing channels in there and doing 2 rows of waistband elastic. Well, oh, I've already thrown my packet away. I just used this waistband elastic. It's that non-roll stuff, about 1 inch wide, and it's nice and sturdy. So you definitely don't need more than 1 piece of that. And for the seam, not the seam, the hem, I serged all the way along the bottom of the hem and then pressed up 1 1/4 inches. I noticed when I was sewing the seam, the hem, Nicola, get your brain in gear. When I was sewing the hem, I noticed that there was a bit of excess fabric because obviously with the shape of the skirt coming out and getting wider as you go down, there's going to be a little bit of excess fabric. So I deliberately made teeny little tucks in places as I went around to take up the fullness. That's probably definitely not an official way of doing it, but never mind. So it's done. It's just after 9 o'clock at night and it's finished. It's a good length. It's definitely maxi on me, but not super, super long. I'm not going to be tripping on it. I do have a skirt that I made, a tiered one, a long time ago. And whilst I love it, I probably should have made it a little bit shorter because I do tend to get it caught up on my shoes sometimes. I've just realised I have not closed the gap in the waistband. Where is it? Somewhere in here, there's a hole on the inside of the waistband where I put my elastic in. Oh, there it is. But I think I'm going to try it on again before I'm 100% sure about closing up that hole. I did wrap the elastic around my waist, cut it to size, and then put it through here. But what I always find is that when you're pulling it through the waistband casing, it usually stretches a bit, and then you have to cut some more off. So I shortened it by another couple of inches. And I am going to make sure, now that I've done all the sewing on it, I will put it on again and be absolutely sure I'm happy with the elastic before completely finalising it all. It's very, very light fabric. It did tend to look a little puckery on the seams after I had sewn. Pressing did help though. So it's nice because it's flowy and gathered, but it's not got a billion tons of yardage in it. So hopefully it won't make me look like a sack of potatoes, as my mother would have said. But yes, if I can get this top made out of this little piece of leftover fabric, then I'll have a matching set and it'll look like a dress. Or I can wear the top with jeans maybe, or whatever. So this is the view as we come into our Airbnb. Look at that view over the mountains. It's a pretty fancy Airbnb. Quite classy looking furniture. Lots of natural light. We've got window that side, tall windows on this side, lovely deck out there with furniture and some sort of fire pit. Not sure how that works. And a hot tub, which is something we always like when we are staying somewhere. So the kitchen is nice and modern because we do like to self-cater. Big TV on the wall in the kitchen. So yeah, a full-size stove, full-size fridge freezer, dishwasher, I'm assuming. Pretty nice looking bathroom. And we've got a choice of bedrooms. So, you know, Mr. Stitches and I could have a bed each if we wanted to. There's this one, which has got like a king-size bed in it, with a massive closet. And then there's this one. Nice artwork, which is more of a queen size. Pretty nice. So it's just not quite 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We just need to unpack our stuff and settle in, maybe go for a bit of a walk around. Yeah, it'll be nice to see what it looks like in the dark with all the lights, the city lights below. And then if I look over there, I can just about see the lake. This is the view north, up the lake. Rather lovely. Perfect day. A little bit warm, bit of a cool breeze and dry, although there are some grey clouds around, so it could rain later. There we came for a walk from the house and we're up in the trees. We can see 2 lakes. One to the north and one to the south. And I'm puffing and panting because it was steep. So I'm looking a little windblown and a little sweaty because we just went walking, and now we're back and we're having a cup of tea. Smaller cup than usual. Slumming it right now. Excuse the rumbling in the background, that was the hot tub. So as a crafter, I thought I would show you what I have brought with me for my few days away, or our few days away. So this is my entertainment package right here. So I thought I'd better be ready for anything. So I brought this little pouch. I think I feel a sneeze coming on. we've got the big doors wide open and it's spring, so there's a good chance there's some pollen about. Am I going to sneeze? No, I think I'm okay. All right, so this little pouch holds some bits of yarn, and I just brought the same kind of yarn, which I think is Scapia Soft Fun. It's a cotton acrylic blend. So just a few small balls of that and a little pouch of aluminum crochet hooks. So that's my emergency crochet pack, which I could use just to make little random amigurumi things. Oh, and there's a little black ball as well. That would be for eyes or something, some sort of features. If I make a little animal. So that's my little crochet kit. Then I also have a sketchbook. And this is something that either one of us could use if we feel so moved. I have a notebook. This is a notebook that I made a few years ago. It was based on a view from a vegetarian guest house we went to many, many moons ago. And I did this scrappy piece of art, I guess you'd call it, with tulle over the top of it. And so it's mountains, and this was the gardens, very large gardens that the guest house had, where they grew a lot of their own produce, which they cooked in the guest house. And then obviously sky. And so there's a whole bunch of paper in here with various bits stuck in. It was one of my first attempts at a journal. And I've never written in it by the look of it. I just found it in my craft room today and I thought, yeah, maybe I could write in that, or I could draw in it or something. So I also brought this pouch here. This is why it's so nice to have so many zipper pouches, because you know you're going to use them eventually. So in here I have my Derwent Inktense pencils, I have sharpener, I have some paintbrushes, I have a pack of, oh, this is all sticking to itself, pack of pencils, pack of pencil crayons, and a little tiny box of Faber-Castell pastels. So that's in case we feel the urge to do something arty-farty in that. And then the other thing I brought, hang on a minute, there's, oh yeah, no, there was another thing. This is my pack of playing cards, which is called Farts. 52 farts. Each card has a description of a different kind of fart on it. When I saw one at my sister's place, I was so tickled pink by it, she bought me my own pack. So the other thing I brought is this pouch, which you may remember me making a little while back out of wonky log cabin blocks and butterfly buttons and things. And I couldn't even roll it up. There's so much in it, I couldn't roll it up. I just had to close the flap and tie it shut. Because what I have in here is I have one of my scissor cases with dressmaking scissors and small scissors in. I have a piece of fabric, which I'm thinking of making another little weird character with, but it's going to be a prettier character this time, not so scrappy. So a floral fabric, and I brought a whole bunch of my cotton Pearl 8 cottons. I said cotton twice. I heard someone say Perle. I'm not sure if it's cotton Pearl 8 or if it's Perle. I'm not really sure. So I brought all of those. I got a sewing thread just in case I need it. Some old pins. So these are my old pins, not my good ones, because they just happen to be in a convenient box. I've got a thimble. I've got my lovely little embroidery needles. I think that might be all in there. And I also brought some different colors of felt in case I needed to cut a few scraps of that out to add features to my little creature, and a little bag of stuffing. So I think that's going to keep me busy for a few days in among driving out and doing stuff around town and going for walks and things. So we're in Scarha Bluffs Provincial Park, looking out over Okanagan Lake down there. We just went up from this parking lot, which we walked to from our Airbnb, so we didn't drive. And then if you look around, you can see Scarha Lake down on the left. Wow, that was a steep climb. It's lovely because all of these sunflowers are coming out now, the spring sunflowers, arrowleaf balsam root, and there are loads and loads of these shrubs, which I think are Saskatoon. They have a number of different names, so we Google lensed it just to check the name. But the white blossom is everywhere. And there's lots of other teeny tiny little flowers around. Spring is springing. The wind is cold, but I'm too warm from scrambling uphill, so balance is out. Now you can see a better view of Scarha Lake. Just over this bit of rock here, there's quite a ravine, so I'm not getting too close to the edge. If you can see that, there's little splodges of colour right there. That's climbers. These bluffs are used by rock climbers in this park. They look like they're getting ready to go up. We're in a little local museum at the moment, and there's some really interesting displays, including these First Nations woven baskets. Very cool. This is a reconstruction of a silkscape village alive. Friendly looking grizzly. There's a lot of kids running around in here today. I guess they're having fun. Kayak, dugout canoe. This is a little reconstruction of an old cabin kitchen with the range. Used to be ferries on Okanagan Lake, not so much now that people drive everywhere. Just think, one day all the stuff we use is going to be in a museum. People will wonder and think, how primitive. KVR is the Kettle Valley Railway. Used to go through here. These trestles. A lot of the trestles are still in place because people bike and walk over them now. A little medical room here. Lots of instruments of torture. Creaky floor. Old medical chair. That's Mr. Stitches being annoying. Another little room. Little shop. Here's the shopkeeper's counter. And we've got all sorts of things there. Look how long Quaker's Oats have been around. A long time. An old typewriter. Oh, now I'm in something I'm interested right there. Look at that cute little old sewing machine. I love it. Cameras, washboards and irons, and I assume this is an old till. It's absolutely massive. So this case has old needles in it, and scissors, and a tape measure, thread snips. Look at the size of this moose head, absolutely insanely big. I'm assuming it's life size. Those antlers are just insane. Collection of nests and eggs. Oh, look at the little chickadee eggs, they're so sweet. And the hummingbird ones are tiny too. More artifacts from the indigenous peoples of the area. Tools, baskets, clothing. This is a dinosaur bone. And fossils. There's an old army uniform and a bit of knitwear. Let's have a close look at the sweater. It has a collar and it has cables down the front. A sort of tweedy yarn and a basket weave. So the reason this doesn't all match this wool is because it was salvaged from Red Cross scarves and socks, and he had made his escape in it. How cool is that? Here we are at the KVR trail that heads north out of Penticton up to Naramata. Hoping it's going to be a little flatter than yesterday's hike. There's a lot of grey cloud around. We might get rained on. There's the city and the lake. And then looking north, oh, there's showers up there. You can see them. Interesting geology around here. Very interesting. I wouldn't call this a hike today, more of a walk, because this is the trail. A lot more wide and flat and easy than yesterday for sure. Naramata has many, many wineries. Rather ironically, we don't drink, so we won't be visiting any. But these look like pretty old established vines. So this is a machine that has a big propeller at the top, and some wineries brought these in to blow air over the grapes to stop them from freezing during frosty days. And then over here we have a small trestle bridge which would have been put there when they brought the train through all those many, many moons ago. It's a very small version of some of the other ones that are on a different part of the KVR through the valleys around here. Sometimes I wish I had an electric bike and I could do large chunks of the trails in a day instead of just a little 2.5 kilometre stretch. this is what it looks like close up. So it's obviously a taller trestle than I anticipated, because that is a long way down. I'm not sure why, but there are hundreds of padlocks attached to the fence, especially on this little bump out where you can stand and look over the edge. Look at this beautiful willow tree. Well, the weather has beaten us because the raindrops have started to fall before we got back to the car. So it's jacket back on, get back to the car as soon as possible, and go for a hot drink. Well, I'm hanging out in the bedroom because Mr. Stitches is watching TV in the other room. But that works out because it's nice and quiet in here, and you can see my lovely headboard behind me. Honestly, this bed is so huge, it's ridiculous. I don't think I've ever slept in a king-size bed before. Well, maybe at another B&B. Maybe I did, but it's just ridiculous how big it is. Honestly, if a family of 4 came to stay here, they could all fit in this bed together. Now, what have I been doing? You will have seen the clip from the museum yesterday. In the same building as the museum is the city library, and it's not part of our library that covers the entire valley. This city has its own library. It's not part of the network. So we had a little wander in there, but we couldn't borrow anything, so there didn't seem much point spending too much time in there. But they did have a little shelf of books for sale just outside the door. So I bought this book for a couple of dollars, Kristin Hannah's Magic Hour. And so I basically devoured that. Started reading it yesterday, finished it today. And that's how I spent most of my morning this morning until we had lunch, and then we went out and we did the walk, which I've probably already shown you the clips from. We stopped at a coffee shop after, well, it was a restaurant, after the walk. And while we were sitting there on stools that faced out of the window, we saw sleet falling. So that'll show you how cool it is here still. Sleet, not just rain, but sleet. Crazy. So it was good timing that we were indoors at that point. And then yesterday I finished the little oddity I was making out of fabric and felt and buttons. And I don't think I've shown you any of this yet. Can't remember now. So I started slow stitching, maybe I did. I slow stitched a couple of rectangles with that floral fabric and a lot of running stitch. I did pink stitches horizontally, and I did some blue stitches for this part, and then green stitches for the top triangle part. I did that on both sides. And then for the front, I cut out some pink felt in a kind of an oval shape, and I added the buttons for eyes and a felt mouth, which I just think came out brilliantly. I just love her little mouth. I just think it's the best thing. So when I sewed them together with the blanket stitch, I incorporated these felt limbs. And then at the end, I used the yarn to put through the blanket stitch with a small crochet hook. I just attached it all the way along the top there, and then trimmed it to make it look like hair. So I'm really, really happy with how she worked out. That is so fun. I see that Odkin Studio, who seems to have started an absolute craze right now, is selling a PDF of pattern templates, which you can use to make your own. And I'm so glad she is doing that, because I think she's going to make a lot of sales and make a lot of people very happy. So there's my little oddkin finished. My book is finished. Most of our food that we brought with us is finished. So that works out well. I'm feeling absolutely full up right now. We have baked potatoes and black beans out of a can. Normally when I'm at home, we only use the dried beans and we cook them ourselves. But when you're traveling and you're away from your own kitchen, sometimes you have to cut corners. And some canned black beans did the job. So we usually eat very simply when we're out of town, because we're self-catering, and I don't want to spend much of my time preparing meals when I'm on a little holiday. Do you? I didn't think so. Ooh, so yeah, we did over 10,000 steps yesterday and over 8 today. And we've had a couple of soaks in the hot tub. So tonight's our last night, and I'm going to get this video finished after this clip and get it published, because tomorrow will probably be very, very uneventful. It'll just be driving home. And yeah, I think this has probably got long enough. So I hope you've enjoyed coming along with us for our little breakaway. So thanks for watching. I hope you're having a good week, and I'll see you again soon.